Hey folks, my name's Stephen and I just want to tell you now my story and why I'm involved in Cycle Against Suicide. So it all started for me a while ago now. It was 2006 and I was in a very bad car accident and I spent a while in a coma, 5 weeks in a coma, and I can remember my wife telling me about the first night. She was called in and she was told by the doctors, I expect the worst. But then after a day or two, the worst didn't happen. She was told it'd be 2 or 3 years before I walk or talk again. Now, I'm glad to say that after 5.5 months in hospital, I walked out of hospital saying goodbye to the doctors and nurses and thanking them for all the work they did. That's where the real work began for me, because I had to learn. I knew I had to get back to work because the wife needs money. So I set myself goals every year. So the first one was to get back to work. And then the next one was I started walking, so it turned into jogging. And I put a goal on March, it was 2012. I did my first 10k jog. So remember, this is not 6 years yet after the doctors said that it'd be 3 years before I walk. So got on well in that 10k anyway. So the summer came around and I did 3 half marathons and a 3/4 marathon. But that was all leading up to my goal for that year, which was in October, the Dublin Marathon. So I completed that. Not a great time, but I wasn't worried about the time. Some people get hung up about different things. I just wanted to complete it. So that was that year's goal. The next year's goal then, right, I knew I could run. I had a bike, so I said I'd give this triathlon stuff a go. So that year I did 4 sprint triathlons. Now a sprint triathlon is 750 metre swim, 20 kilometre cycle and 5 kilometre run. So I did 4 of them. That was that year's goal. The next year I said I'd crack it up a notch. So I continued doing the sprint triathlons, but I also did an Olympic distance, which is 1.5k swim, 40k cycle and 10k run. So that was great. Then I saw Cycle Against Suicide come into my child's school one day, and I said, geez, that's very interesting. So I did that the next couple of years. And you're saying, why did that fall on my lap? Why did I find it very interesting? Well, I'll tell you why. A year and a half before my accident, my own brother, at the age of 26, took his own life. Now that affected me and it affected my parents, of course. And I wanted to do the cycle. Anything I could do, I'd do to stop any family from feeling the way I felt, the way my parents felt, the way my siblings felt, the way his friends felt. His friends that I had to call up and tell him what he did, and they could not believe it. Because Alan was very popular, he was very sporty, he went out. You couldn't imagine he'd be going through obviously what he was going through, because he held it all in. And there is no need to hold it on in, because there's so many people there to talk to. Talk to a parent, a sibling, a friend, mention it to a school teacher. There's no need for anyone to be going through what they're going through alone, because there's so many people out there going through the same thing. Like, I know in my situation where I had a brain injury, still have a brain injury, depression is a big thing. Now, because I'd seen the effects of the depression on people, I was never going to let that happen to me. And so I set myself goals and I completed them. But I can see how people get swallowed up by it. But there's no need. No need, folks. So unfortunately the cycle was cancelled this year, of course, because of this COVID, and people are going through their own things with the COVID. But don't go through it alone. Everyone is going through it together. So because the cycle was cancelled, I decided to do my own cycle. So I did a 6-day cycle, go with the flow, and I started in Spencer Dock in Dublin, went the full length of the Royal Canal to where it goes into the Shannon in Longford, and then followed the Shannon down to its estuary in County Clare, about 650 kilometres, and it was great. But I did that to try and raise a bit of funds and a bit of awareness for Cycle Against Suicide, because it's such a good cause, especially their schools program at the moment that they're going through, and it has to be funded. So any sponsorship that can go for Cycle Against Suicide, it's only going to help our kids. So thanks for listening to my story. Keep supporting Cycle Against Suicide, and I'll see you around the block. Alright, thanks folks.